Have a plan to reduce stress. Let's talk about this idea for a little bit here. When you find yourself in a stressful situation, a lot of times for me, these situations come up when I have a lack of clarity on what's the next step. Because if I have a plan on what I'm going to do after, this situation, this chapter, this page of my life, when I have a plan, I can just let go of my attachment to the moment and just go through the motions. I can tell you from my direct experience, I've been able to experience a great reduction in stress from so many situations because I just started to make a plan, look at my options, and then from there, move forward. I think too many of us will get wrapped up in whatever dumbass situation that we find ourselves in, and we won't allow ourselves to see out of it. Like if you are somewhere right now where you don't want to be, how are you even making plans to get yourself out of it? Or are you making plans to figure out how to resolve it? I think a lot of people do not strategize this much with their life. And then as a result, they just stay miserable because their current situation is all that's on the table. They have all their eggs in just that basket. And this is really dangerous, especially when it comes to, of course, your income. I think this whole topic is just coming around, when you find yourself in a situation where you have to show up to this crazy ass job just to put food on the table and pay rent. But so many people will just stay in that job and they won't make plans. Like they're not looking every day and they're not making plans on, okay, by this time I will, be interviewed for this, or I will get training for this, or, I'll move on to this. There's no plan there. And so then as a result, they're just focusing on the moment. If the moment is too unbearable, one strategy to reduce the stress is to focus on the next one. What's the next step? I've noticed for myself, just increasing the clarity, just giving thought to what my next step is, I've allowed myself to just reduce my stress and realize, okay, this is just a moment in time. I'll be out of here in a couple months. And after that, I'll be fine. And in these moments, and that also allows me to give myself permission to do the best I can in every single moment that I'm given. Regardless of what it means to other people, what's most important is what it means to myself. So I'm going to take action for myself. I'm going to be proactive, get up on time, do everything on time, whatever, for myself, because I want to build a character that is proactive for myself. I noticed even, a lot of times situations are unbearable when we know we don't even have an end. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. So fundamentally here, what's going on, like when you find yourself in a situation you don't want to be in, and then we're making a plan to reduce the stress, we are just creating our own light at the end of this tunnel, such that we can bear the journey, we can bear the walk through these catacombs. To just quit and surrender, you're not going to learn as much as just sticking it through and having a plan and being proactive with every single day. This is something I've noticed. And that's a really tough pill to swallow, because then that means that you're going to have to go through it. You're going to have to endure those next however long, period of a sentence you've got with your situation. But sometimes you have to put yourself in the shoes of your future self and give yourself you have to entertain how it feels to be on both sides of the coin, sticking it through and then or just pivoting, pivoting or persevering. See my other episode on pivoting, or on pivot or persevere. So if you're in a situation right now where you don't really know what's next and you don't like where you are, this is the perfect time to take out your mind map book, take out your journal, create a mind map, start to write about your situation, write about how you feel. Because what's really gonna produce a real answer that you're going to be satisfied with is by some serious introspection. Because ultimately, you have to take responsibility for your own life, because you are always the driver of your own life. But we don't always want to take that responsibility. We rather, while it's useful, pull on our supports and call people. And that is very useful as well for gaining perspective and increasing clarity, and also getting validation. But ultimately, to come to a true decision for yourself, you have to take that time to really introspect. And so, for example, as I've spoken in my previous episode, if you're feeling stuck, where you don't even want to move anymore, where you don't want to take any action, the next piece of action to take is to take out that journal and start writing about what you're feeling. There is a technique called Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg. And simply laid out, this technique, this process, is just having your pen hit that paper, so physical writing, and you don't stop until either the page is done, or better yet, the timer is done. Set a timer for 20 minutes and just keep writing. Even if you don't know what to write next, you just write, I'm thinking about what to write next. And what ends up happening with a process like that is that you get to the raw, bare bones of the situation. And sometimes it can be difficult for us to really be honest with ourselves. And a technique like that can strip ourselves of all of our barriers and all the walls and deceptions we put up to get to the core of what we are thinking. And then from that core, then we can make some real decisions about the plans we want to employ to make our next step. And then once we have a plan, then this, let's say next couple months or whatever that you're in this situation still for, it will become a lot better because you have a finish line. Imagine, just to make this more clear, Imagine the difference between a prison sentence of 10 years versus a prison sentence of a lifetime, right? When you're in there for life, it's like, well, what the fuck? You know, how do you even get through that day? And of course, that's by mastering every single moment, which is a fucking tall order. But my point is that, you know, if you had like a 10-year sentence, then there's hope at the end. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And when you know in your mind that you have a finish line, you're going to give yourself permission to just let go of this moment and not take it so seriously. Do what you can to manage, do what you can for the self-investment process, and be kind to yourself, love yourself, accept yourself. You know, don't beat yourself up for getting yourself in such a shitty situation. Trust that you are always making the best decision given what you know at every single moment. And if this is what you're facing, if it's adversity is what you're facing, so be it. Bring it on. Because that will strengthen you precisely in a way that you need to become stronger for, because there's something in the future that reality is preparing you for. Imagine just assuming that reality is giving you exactly the experiences you need to become as strong as you want to become. Because the thing is that strength is only built through adversity. It is in those moments of adversity that we truly learn to rise up and step up. Especially in those moments when we don't want to do shit. That will make you way stronger. So don't stay stagnant. Don't just suffer without a plan. Suffer with a plan in mind. Consciously. You're suffering consciously this way. And before you know it, it will all be over. And you'll be looking back at yourself. And the only thing you'll think then is whether or not you're proud of yourself for sticking it through and doing the best you can, or whether or not you regret the way you handled that moment. It's your call. So with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next one.